Hello. Who is here? So if you'd like to let me know that you're here, send me a chat, say hello. Hi, Cindy. Yeah, I saw that. So that's osteopenia, which is amazing. Amazing because 5 to 7 years post-menopause is the greatest decrease. Osteoporosis is at 2.5 and above, negative 2.5. So to be at negative 1.9, that's still not in that osteoporotic range, but even more than that, too, given your active lifestyle. There's a lot there about the way you care for yourself, the strength in your body. So, yes, um, that is, yeah. For me, I mean, the way that I look at those results for myself, we'll see. I had mine yesterday. Um, I just, there's so many components, and remember, there could be variation on either side of that number as well. So it depends on the technician, depends on whether or not you had calcium in your body or strontium. It depends on the position of your body. And when I was there yesterday, I asked the woman about that because they actually put your hip joint in internal rotation. So there's an internal rotation aspect of the hip. And they look at how the light goes through the machine and how much is absorbed. And I said to her, I have hip dysplasia, so I already have an internal rotation presentation in my hip joint. So then to take it even farther, you're looking at my bone, maybe in a more narrow sense. And it really does matter. Like that's one thing that Dr. Fishman said about DEXA scans is that they don't take the size of the bone into account. So we are measuring different sizes and shapes of bones with the same criteria. And then there's all the other parts, right? There's the flexibility, range of motion, strength in your body, level of activity, diet, other aspects that are contributing to bone loss. So anyway, there's so many parts of it. This is one thing, the DEXA scan score, yet it is what most of us react to. And it's where most of the, that diagnosis comes from. It's the gold standard for diagnosis. There are, though, some other diagnostic criteria popping up. I know that Dr. Fishman referred to another one that he prefers over DEXA. And then I just saw recently a talk on, I don't know what the name of it is because it's one of those super long technical names. So they're going to have to come up with an abbreviation for it. But there are some other methodologies of testing. So you kind of take everything with a grain of salt, or I do anyway. Hi, Kathy. Nice to have you here. Stevie, good morning. Yeah. Yeah. So, and your doctor will go over that with you. And I think you might have mentioned medications. So, of course, it's an individual thing for all of us to decide. There's just really a lot of not great things with these medications. And there are natural approaches, and that's what I think is really important. So, taking care of your strength, your flexibility, your range of motion, doing the best that you could do. And more importantly, 95% of the hip fractures, 95% of the hip fractures are because we fall. They are from a fall. And there's, I was looking at my statistics because I say these often. 55% of the people with a hip fracture had a previous vertebral fracture. So what does that say to me? That says to me that this is a person that had poor posture, lack of body awareness, and because that's a big part of vertebral fractures or dysfunctional movements in their body. So we can do a lot to learn how to move better, to have less tendency of having vertebral fractures and then other fractures. Yeah, you have me. Yes, Cindy, that's what I'm here for. Yeah, I would not take medications either. But not to say, there are people that's the route that they go down. But I look at it like here's food and supplements and lifestyle behaviors, and here's medications and lifestyle behaviors. And you kind of have to pick what is appropriate for you. in one of my courses, my osteoporosis lifestyle course that I teach, where I teach the 3 pillars and I teach information in each pillar, and I give resources to take at home to create a lifestyle. And I'm actually beefing up that course. So I've made that course a bigger course. It's going to start in September. And I'm actually going to give a more extensive nutrition guide because the food is a huge part to this. So I have a nutrition guide that is going to accompany that. And I used to give, I think, a 25-page nutrition guide, and it's going to be almost 100 pages, really giving a lot of information about food sources of bone building nutrients. That's one part. And then, of course, the practices. I give videos on practices to do and the mindset piece, because that's a big part of this. And so that's my goal, is to create that lifestyle course for people, kind of an intro to see if is a lifestyle practice. And then if you want to go even bigger, farther, you can start to run functional labs on yourself and get to the like looking at your nutrients and looking at the thyroid function and looking at gut health and the integrity of your gut. So you can start to go really crazy and start to look at making you be the best you could be to build the best bones possible. So that's another option as well. All right, let's do the practice. Interesting, there's not that many people here yet. So I am going to start though, and I know people come in later. And we did send out my link today, right? So anyway, but 1 is all we need. All I need is 1. And then I've got all of you. So, all right. So for today's practice, I'm going to make it very global body, global bone body, really focusing on creating stimulation in a lot of different locations in the body, using a lot of postures that were proven to increase bone density in Dr. Fishman's study. And the doctors that I follow, the functional medicine doctors, they're seeing more and more of their patients reversing their osteoporosis naturally without medications, using nutrition and lifestyle practices. And I'm going to say, they say weight bearing and they tell people to go to the gym. I'm like, practice yoga, because you need to pull and push on your bones, and from many different angles, and nothing else does it the way yoga does. So we're going to take that today into our body to create as much stimulation as possible. You will need for this practice a strap and a block. You will need a blanket and a mat. And the beginning of the practice is to bring you to the present moment, to get you to shift from human doing, because the more you are a human doing, go, living in your mind, worrying, the more stress you have that's not managed contributes to bone density loss. And there is research on psychological stress and its impact on bone density. So the less managed your mind is, the more out of control your mind is, that's a contributing factor to bone loss. So we're going to begin the practice today focusing on breath, grounding our mental energy to this present moment, trying to reel in your mind wherever it is, in the past, in the future, wherever it is that is not here, which is where we live most of our days, is in the future or in the past. So let's bring ourselves to this present moment. I'd like to suggest that we use the first posture that we're going to do. It's a Shavasana, actually. It's the way we end, and we're going to begin that way as well. I'd love for you to try to use no blanket or as little blanket as possible. And that's going to start to help correct that posture, helping to create more of a lift in the upper spine, taking the rib cage in this position where the lower ribs are pressing back and the spine is rounding. We're going to use the floor to push into that middle part of your spine to get your spine to be nice and tall and your head to be on top of your spine. So to take that forward, rounded out of your body. That's what we're going to try to do here with the floor and with gravity. So I would love it if you could try to use no blanket, or maybe you use a thinner fold. So try 1 fold versus 2 fold. And if you're a 3-fold kind of person, or this is actually 4 pieces, right? If you're that, maybe you go to this. If you're here, maybe you go to here. And then maybe even when you're down, you can see if you do nothing, trying to get the center of your head to make contact, nice long neck. and allow some opening to take place on the spine. Also, the shoulder blades, before we go down, the shoulder blades that sit in the back of the body, let's not have them come to the side of the body. Let's draw them towards the spine so they come back kind of at triangle shapes downward. Try to get them back into the center of the back instead of coming around to the sides. So that's our goal for the first posture today, the Shavasana, and then bringing our mental energy to the present moment. So you're going to take your hand, reach your hand away from you to come down onto the floor. So come down onto the ground. Keep your eyes open at first. So we're still human doings. We're still taking in information through our eyes and, of course, our ears. Now we're going to take away the eyes, and the eyes actually stimulate the brain up to 80% of its information. So when you close your eyes, that's a really amazing first control piece for you to get out of the human doing phase. So press your arms into the ground, lift your upper back off the floor a little bit, or take the weight out of it to slide the shoulder blades closer to the spine, and then allow the shoulder blades to rest on the ground. So feel that in your body. Then push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis up, and a little posterior tilt. So tilt your pelvis so the tailbone moves away from you and your lower back goes closer to the ground. And then let the low ribs touch first. Try to place the lower lumbar spine on the ground. And then allow your pelvis to rock a little bit so that the top of your pelvis is touching the floor. So that's placing yourself in a really nice position. And then let's leave the knees bent. Let the feet go wider than the body and the knees go in towards each other. So begin like that. That's a nice way to get your body in a really great position here so that the pelvis and the low back can be nice and free. And then you're going to take your arms. Let's do a little open and close first. So a couple of open and close movements. Inhale, open. Exhale, closed. Not a real big movement here. Trying to get a little bit of freedom, and we're trying to unstick the sticky part of the arms attaching to the body. And then take your arms really wide, all the way wide, and no bend in the elbows or very little, and let the backs of the hands rest on the ground. If you have shoulder issues, the upper arm bone, be careful to not let it be too high up. So if it's higher up towards the head, there might be a little bit more pinching in that shoulder joint. So just slide the arm on the ground to lower it a little. And then pick your head up, tuck your chin towards your chest, and slowly place your head on the ground. So the center of your head is where you feel that pressure. Knees are touching, feet are wider than your body. Then feel the points of connection, the feet. Bring your awareness to your pelvis, your sacrum, and your tailbone. And then bring your awareness to your spine. Bring your awareness to your shoulder blades and that upper back. Feel that connection. And then bring your awareness to your neck, nice and long. To the back of the head. And notice, is there more pressure on one side of the head or the other? And try to be as symmetrical as you can. And then close the mouth, let the back teeth rest. Begin to breathe into your torso. And then push your shoulder blades into the ground. Push your heart up towards the sky. Breathe into your torso. Let the lungs expand and contract and start to warm you up from the inside out. Notice your heartbeat. See if you could feel each beat. And then feel your body with your eyes closed. So your mind is in your body. Go ahead and bend the left elbow. Let the left arm come onto the chest and spread the fingers so the left hand rests around the heart. Bend the right elbow. Let the right hand go to the lower belly. When I first began to practice yoga, learning about managing my mind and my breath, this is the first thing I would do. It's still to this day it is, especially the times that you need the most mental grounding. When life is getting the better of you, when you're having a really hard time controlling your mind is all over the place, in the place of fear or worry or hopelessness. Coming to the present moment, bringing yourself to the body, somatically grounding your mental energy into your body could be very powerful, very healing, and for our purposes, help to slow down some of the metabolic aspects of bone density loss, right? Affecting your biochemistry and your physiology, bringing that part of you into a more calm place so that you're not burning through the minerals that are necessary to stay in the bones for bone health. Right? We want to keep our minerals in our bones. We want to keep our gut and our tummy in a digestive, absorptive place, as opposed to stimulated by fear and focusing more on getting out of here as opposed to repairing and restoring and building bone tissue. So bring your awareness to your hands. Spread your fingers, feel the left hand on the heart, the right hand on the belly. And let your upper arm bones be pretty close to your body so that you're resting the muscular aspect. And take your awareness to your left hand and begin to breathe to the left hand. So you actually are in your palm. Let your mind be in your palm and feel the body moving towards the hand with each inhale and away from the hand with each exhale. Really experience the breath in your palms. And bring your awareness down to your right hand. Start to direct the breath down to the belly. And feel the right hand move up and down as the breath comes into the body, all the way down to your belly. So we're going to fill our lungs up completely, filling them from the bottom up and emptying them from the bottom to the top. So the diaphragm is your primary breathing muscle around the lower ribs. We're going to activate that diaphragm to draw the breath in on the inhale
and to actively press the diaphragm towards the lungs, to press the breath out, to create more space for your inhale. So the exhale creates more space for your inhale. So bring your awareness, let's move through a wave-like pattern to really get the lungs to move. Let's take a big exhale. Then breathe into your belly and then your chest. Exhale from the belly and then the chest. Breathe in belly, chest. Breathe out belly, chest. Breathe in belly, chest. Breathe out belly, chest. Feel the belly and the chest moving towards your palms when you do this. Breathe in belly, chest. Breathe out belly, chest. Breathe in belly, chest. Breathe out belly, chest. Continue on your own. Keep your awareness with your palms and try to slow down and deepen the breath as much as you can, feeling your hands move up and down with each inhale and exhale. Keep breathing. Breathing into your belly, out of your belly. Feel your belly and your chest moving towards your palms. Stay very connected here. If your mind wanders, bring it back. Finish the breath you're on and take 3 more long, slow, deep breaths like this. Last breath. Give the breath back to your body to breathe. If you'd like to leave the hands here, you could slide the left hand down onto the belly, breathing down into your belly. Feel your belly pressing into your palms. Feel your palms going along for the ride. And then take your last breath. Bring movement to your fingers, your toes. Come into a fully outstretched position. Go slow, eyes are closed. So feel your way into appropriate movements for your body. It's a great way to develop your interoception, your body awareness, which is going to help you move better, learn where you need to stretch or strengthen so that you can increase your function, improve your functional patterns in your body, and then really create a lot of bone building stimulation with proper movements. Reaching your arms overhead, your feet nice and long. Let's go ahead and bend the knees. Draw the knees into the chest in case we need any correction in the lower back, in case anything occurred during that opening breath sequence. Take your legs side to side. So remember, because psychological stress affects bone density, it's important for us to manage our stress. It's one of the most important aspects of all things related to our health and well-being, not just our bone density or our bone health. So learning how to manage your mind and being in the present moment and using breath is one of the main ways to do that. One of the most powerful tools in the practice of yoga. So the hand on the heart and hand on the belly is one of the ones I use often because it brings in more of the body and it brings in that feeling of the belly or the chest moving into the palms. So let's begin today lubricating our joints to get our body ready to create a lot of stimulation. So bring your feet up towards the sky. The knees are bent here. Let's begin by moving the feet. So bend the toes and then pull the toes towards you. So bend and bring them towards you. It's okay if the ankle joint moves, but I want this to be more about the toes. So really try to get the toes. This is not the foot moving. That's not ankle joint, right? I want you to be more about toes moving. So see if you could isolate that. I'll tell you that these are things not a lot of people have awareness of or ability to do. And if it's too hard to hold your legs up here, you can assist by holding onto the back of your thighs. And if it's not too much, this could be even more core work for you, bringing the legs right above your belly. For those of you that have a little bit more strength in your body, I'm suggesting that. So the toes, and then try to move just the big toe without moving the other toes. Not so easy. That second toe always wants to go along for the ride. Then try to move the four toes without moving the big toe. See if you could do that. And then let's move the ankle joint. Inhale, point the feet. Exhale, flex. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. Inhale, point. Exhale, flex. Let's take the feet. So think about the big toes, making big, huge circles on the ceiling. And you're going slow here, and they're going opposite of each other. So let the toes move away from each other, back towards each other, and then towards your head. And go really slow. Maybe you notice some clinging and clanging in the ankle joint. Let's switch that. Go the other direction. Real big circles and go slow. I usually see people moving too quickly through this. Because 95% of the hips that fracture from falling, ankle joint is a big area of the body that has to do with balance and communication throughout the body. So keeping your joints nice and lubricated is important. Let's come to the knee joint and let's bend the knee one at a time. If you want to make this be a little bit more work, you could actually come towards a straight leg or a straight leg. And if you're right above your pelvis when you do this, you're using your core, your deep core muscles to stabilize your spine and your pelvis. And then there's a lot of quadricep work here, which becomes very important for healthy aging and for hip and knee joint health. And then go ahead and bend your knees, draw your knees in towards your chest. Take your hands above and grab onto your kneecaps. So from above, you're taking your knees and then wiggle your legs. You're letting your legs go here. Now draw your knees in towards your body. Spread your legs. Let your knees go away from you. Your arms go straight. Draw the knees towards each other and then forward towards you. Open them out and away. Make a circle. Exhale when you come towards your body and you compress your belly. And then inhale when the legs move away from you. Exhale when you bring them in. Inhale when they move away. And then go ahead and bring yourself back to center. So that's hip joint. Now let's move to the lumbar spine. You're still holding onto your knees. Inhale with your arms straight, and then exhale to draw the knees closer to the chest. Inhale, arms are straight. Exhale, draw the knees to the chest. Inhale, arms are straight. And exhale to draw the knees to the chest. One more. Inhale, arms are straight. Exhale to draw the knees to the chest. Let's roll onto the left side. So roll onto your left side, cradle your head in your left arm, and then take your right arm and move your right arm around as much as you can to warm up the shoulder joint, to warm up the thoracic spine. You open up your chest, try to get your right shoulder blade to come as close to the ground as it'll come, so that you're getting that thoracic rotation, warming up the upper spine, warming up the shoulder joint. Let's do one more. And then bring yourself back to center. Bring your knees into your chest. Go to the opposite side, to the right. Cradle the head in the right arm. And then take your arm and you inhale to open, trying to get that left shoulder towards the floor. And then reach your arm as big as you can in a big circle, warming up the chest, the shoulder, the upper back. And then one more. And then bring yourself back to center. Knees are bent, feet are flat. Pick your pelvis up, put it back down. Lift your head up, tuck your chin towards your chest. Take a big inhale. And then exhale, let your head roll to one side as far as it'll go. Feel the stretch. Inhale back up to center and exhale to the other side. Inhale back to center. So now you are rotating your cervical spine. Some warming at the neck, the muscles, the soft tissue, the joints. Creating lubrication in your body, getting yourself ready to move safely with a nice lubricated body. One more. Bring yourself back to center. Let's take the arms up in the sky, palms face backward. Bring your fingertips to touch your shoulders and then unbend. This is warming up the the elbows. And then when you come up, I want you to start flexing your fingers so your hands flex, your palms are up towards the sky. Fingertips touch your shoulders. Open your fingers, bend your wrists. One more. And then take your hands, face your palms away from you. Bend your hands and then up. Bend and up. Now take your hands, open them as wide as you can. You can look at them. I like to look at my hands, see the white and see the pink, and then tight, tight, tight fist. Open, open, stretch, 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 tight fist. This is a good thing to do throughout your day because arthritis and arthritic deposits can accumulate in the hands, and you could get sore joints from arthritis, whether that's osteoarthritis or rheumatoid. So keeping those joints moving helps to move all that stuff around. Look at your fingers and start to bend them. There's 3 joints on each finger, 2 on the thumb. So look at your hand and really get all that stuff to bend. Perfect. And then go ahead, bring yourself down. Notice if you were using the muscles here of your forearm, another important area to keep nice and mobile. All right, so let's come into a posture here. Let's do a bridge posture. We'll do it as a dynamic, moving through it at first and then hold it. So you're going to take your blanket away from the back of your head, reach your head up and let the center of your head touch the ground. And then the block is between your knees. Walk your feet away from your body. So you don't want to be too close here. You're going to walk them away. Now, when we do the dynamic part of this, we're actually trying to undulate the spine and move the spine and warm up the spine. So when you lift your tushy off the ground and you lift your spine away from the floor, try to only lift up as high as the heart area here, because we're actually going to move the shoulder and the neck as well. And you don't want to put any pressure in the head or neck. So as long as you only lift to about heart height, then we can move the arms and the neck. So you walk your feet away, you're squeezing your block, the fingertips are facing away from you, thumbs are up towards the sky, palms are inward. Take an exhale, press your belly button towards the floor, and then inhale, push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis, lift your left arm up slowly, and rotate your head to the right. That's your inhale. Exhale, try to put the spine down one bone at a time as you come down. Inhale, try to peel the spine away one bone at a time. Right arm goes up, head goes to the left. Exhale to lower. Trying to articulate that lower part of the spine, shoulder joint moving, and cervical spine is moving as well. It's getting a lot of movement here in your spine, getting it nice and lubricated. You inhale to rise, you exhale to lower. One more each side. We began with the left hand up, so you're going to end with the right arm up. Bring yourself back to center. Let's lift these shoulder blades away from the floor, slide them towards the spine, and get ready for the static hold. Walk your feet closer to your body. Put your block in between your knees. Make sure it's stable. Squeeze the block and let the low back touch the floor. Pick the head up and tuck the chin towards the chest. Push the feet into the floor, squeeze the block, and squeeze your tushy and peel your spine off the floor, lifting your pelvis up, up, up. Do not look side to side when your body's up. Now your spine is away from the floor, high up on your back. You're adding a back bend. So really open the front of your rib cage. So open up those bones at the front of your rib cage. If you could clasp, or if you can't, you could bend your elbows, let your fingertips go up towards the sky, palms face each other. Deep breaths here. Squeeze your tushy, squeeze the block. Really deepen the back bend here. One more breath. When you bring yourself down, you're going to come down nice and slow, nice and slow. Take the block out to the side, draw your knees in for a breath or two, and then roll all the way onto your tummy. So that was one back bend. We're going to do another back bend. We're going to do the locust posture. So let your toenails touch the floor, the big toes touch each other. Come up here onto Sphinx posture so that you can come down onto the ground with a lengthened spine. So as you lower down, pull your rib cage away from your pelvis and then push your heart forward. Bring yourself all the way down and let your forehead and your nose touch the floor. So you're not letting your chin touch the floor. And for those of you with roundness in the upper spine, chin touching the floor is more comfortable. You're going to let your forehead and your nose touch the floor. For those of you with a stronger practice, you could clasp your hands, getting the palms close to each other. And when you come up, the arms come away from the body. They don't rest on the pelvis. So you'll know if this is appropriate for you or not if you can lift your arms up. Not everybody can. If you cannot do that, then your arms could stay alongside your body and they're lifted away from the floor. So either clasp or arms are alongside the body, forehead touches the floor, big toes are touching. Press the feet into the floor actively, the kneecaps will lift away from the floor. Reach your shoulders down, the shoulder blades close to the top of the pelvis. Take an exhale, hug your lumbar spine with your core, and then inhale to rise. Deep breaths here. Locust posture. So get a nice strong back bend. Push your heart forward and lift your arms up, lift your legs up, lift your upper body up. Strong, strong locust posture. Take one more breath. And then go ahead, lower down. Fold your hands, one on top of the other. Take your legs as wide as your mat. And then let the forehead touch the back of the hands. Let the head rest. So let go of the head. This is relaxing for the back. And then wiggle your pelvis back and forth, side to side. So you really settle the bones of the pelvis and of the low back. Let them settle in the tissue. So let everything be relaxed here. And take a couple of deep breaths down to your belly, below your belly button. And that'll help also to take some tension out of the lower lumbar area. It brings in a stretch to the low back. Breathing down to your belly, letting the belly press into the floor. And then bending your legs, let the soles of the feet go up towards the sky. And let's do a little side to side action here. Side to side. This also helps to release tension in the back, in the pelvis. And then we're going to come onto our backs again. So roll over onto your back and bring your blanket behind you. So here, if you are tight, if you have a pretty tight legs, having an extra fold in the blanket would be beneficial for you. And that's okay here to do it, because now we're going to focus on pulling on the pelvis and creating bone stimulation by pulling on the pelvis. And these are forward folds. The floor stretches with the strap, and that's one thing we're not really supposed to do if you have osteoporosis. So this is the safe way to do it, is when you're on the ground. So let's begin with the right leg. Take the strap and bring the right foot in as close as you could get it to your body, putting the strap around the right foot. And then slide your hands down, wrap your hands around. Now, if you are pretty limber in your body, you could take your left leg straight, no problem. Some of you may need to keep that left leg bent, so do what's appropriate for you. Pull down to deeply root that leg deep in the hip joint, and then firm up the right leg with your muscles. So you're hugging the bone, the top bone with the muscles of the leg, and you're trying to push the leg away from you. And let's begin. Draw the leg towards the wall behind you. The important thing here is that your knee stays straight. So do not bend your right knee. You want to really pull on the hamstring muscle where it begins, which is on your pelvis. So no bend in the knee, or that's going to go to the center of the muscle, the belly of the muscle behind the center of the thigh. We want to pull on the pelvis. Just pull back to the wall as much as you can and push away from that force with the muscles, and pull the strap down as well. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and release. Let's go into the inner thigh stretch. Now, the important thing here is that this inner thigh is as far away from the top of the left leg as possible. So when you do go out to the side, you need to keep your leg high. And if your leg at all starts to go forward, you need to stop. So this is not about getting to the floor, because for those that try to get to the floor prematurely, the leg goes forward to get lower, but you're not stretching the muscle group and not pulling on the pelvis that we're intending to do to create bone building stimulation. So hold on to your strap, let your elbow come closer to the floor. Left leg is straight if you'd like. And then you're going to lengthen out to the side, keeping that leg up pretty high. Let it keep going as much as your muscles will allow that to happen, as far as you can to the side. and stay there. If you press the left leg into the floor, that might give you a little bit more ability to go deeper if you need to on that side. The goal here is to feel the pulling, the stretch of the adductors as you pull on the pelvis. Take one more breath. Coming back up either with a straight leg or bent. Let's take the strap off, draw the left leg in. So not moving too quickly between these and taking the time out to do it in this step-by-step process, because there's a lot of things that are getting done along the way. We're keeping our body limber and mobile, which is important for healthy aging and for bone density. So the right leg is bent here. You've got the strap around the left arch of the foot, sliding the hands down and wrapping your hands around the strap. And then if you'd like to take the right leg straight, you take the right leg straight. Then you're going to straighten the left leg, firm up the muscles of the left leg. That's important. Push the right leg into the floor, firm up the muscles of the left leg, and then let's draw that left leg back towards the wall behind you. So very active 30 seconds here. Feeling as much sensation of pulling as you can that is safe for your body. So drawing the leg towards the wall behind you and firming up the muscles of the leg, trying to push the leg away, creating this nice opposing forces. I say it's nice. Take one more breath. And then bringing yourself out. Let's take the strap in the left hand, sliding your hand down. Remember, when the foot goes to the side, it's to the side the whole time. It's not forward. So because so many people try to get lower into the floor, bringing your leg forward makes it easier to let your leg get to the floor or on the floor. But that's not the goal. I want to really pull the adductor muscles that's on the pelvis. So keep the right thigh rooted down on the ground. And then let's inhale to reach the left leg out to the side. Feel that stretch on your inner thigh, your adductor muscles. Pressing the right leg into the ground. Keep your shoulder blades on the ground. Keep your tushy on the ground. Take one more breath. And then you're going to bring your leg back up to center. Let's take the strap off. Let's draw the knees into the body. Take the block. Let's take the block in the lower calf area. And it's on the middle way. It's not the thinnest one. You're not putting it on the thinnest way like this. You're putting it between your legs like this. So there's 3 different ways you could put the block between your legs. It's not like this. And it's not the thinnest way. It's the medium. All right. So this is about 6 inches, I think. Right? This is 4 inches. So maybe it's 6 inches. Yeah, it's a rectangle. Okay. Take the block between your legs. Flex your feet. Take your arms alongside your body. Now bring your knees in towards your chest. We're going to go side to side here, stretching the low back and working the core. So that's the action here. The farther the knees are away from the chest, the harder this is. So you do what's appropriate to you. Arms are on the ground. You're going to contract your core and hug your lumbar spine. So feel like your midsection becomes like an hourglass shape, or think of a corset coming towards center. Bottom lifts up, top is active, and then you make that corset action or that hourglass shape. Take a big exhale, Inhale, legs go to one side. Exhale, back to center. Inhale to the other side. Feel yourself rocking to the center of your sacrum and your pelvic bones. And really stabilize your pelvis with your core. Inhale to the side. This is core work and rotational muscles, very supportive for alignment, for balance, for posture. And then one more. Bring yourself back to center. Go ahead, draw your knees into your chest. Then come into a happy baby. Spread your legs really wide. So those 4 postures we just did, the bridge, the locust, and the Supta Pada Gustasana 1, Supta Pada Gustasana 2. Low back got involved there, especially more so with the first 2 back bends. So this child's pose, not child's pose, happy baby. This happy baby posture can be nice and relieving for that low back. Okay, let's bring yourself onto your side. Get your hands on the floor and then push yourself up to a seated position, or while you get your blanket ready. So this seated position here is called hero's posture, and not everybody's able to get into the hero's posture. Do your best. Take your props off to the side. Okay, so we're going to come into the plank. Plank posture is one of my favorites in terms of all over body strengthening. So for healthy aging, for healthy bones, one of my favorites. You decide if you're going to do the full plank, the modification of the plank, or the dolphin modification, or the dolphin hold. And, you know, sometimes we feel really strong one day, so we can do the full version. And then some days we need to take it a little easy. So really pay attention to how you're feeling today and what would be the best for you today. So you don't want to discourage yourself from doing the practice, and you want to feel empowered. Take your hands really wide, take them underneath your shoulders. Let's take one foot back and then bring the other foot up and take the other foot back. So here you're using push muscles to push away from the floor. So make sure that your hands are spread. Press the fingertips into the floor strongly. That'll help to distribute the weight, so it's not just in the wrist joint. And we need wrists to be strong. Push your feet back so you feel a stretch on your calf area, your lower leg area. And then bring your awareness to your right foot. Push all 5 toes in, and then to your left. Now that's 30 seconds for those of you that want to come down. So if you'd like to come down, go ahead and bring yourself down. And then I'm going to stay up for another 30. And I'm actually going to add 3-legged plank, taking one leg off at a time. Do a little extra challenge, especially for the hip joint, for the hip flexor muscles, for the quadriceps. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. Take your hands, shake your wrists. That's a really wonderful posture for healthy aging. So we're going to come into a camel posture, which is a supportive back bend. The goal here is, here's your spine, and you want this shape to come into your spine. Really thinking about the chest being where you get the opening to come into the front of the body. So really lifting those lower ribs away from the pelvis, creating a stretch in your belly. So a nice thing is to get the posterior pelvic tilt. So if you get a posterior pelvic tilt in your pelvis and you lengthen your lower pelvis down, that can allow for a softening in the belly and then that extension in the upper spine. So this is a more challenging posture to come into. The full expression of the camel posture, for some of those of you that would like to have your hands on your feet, getting the bend. The other version, having your arms into that clasped arm position, pushing the chest up. Or you could take your hands and rest the heels of the hands on top of the pelvis, helping to support that posterior tilt and that lengthening of the low back, so you don't crunch up your low back and cause discomfort there. So you're going to choose whatever you'd like. It's a 30-second hold posture.
So bring yourself into whatever position. You're going to clasp your hands, put your hands behind your pelvis, or for those of you that are pretty bendy, you can come down. The goal is to open the front of the chest. So do whatever you'd like to do here. Soften the belly and a little posterior tilt, so lengthen your tailbone down towards the ground. And then let's enter this by adding that extension into the upper spine. Make sure you don't throw your head back. Slide the elbows towards each other. Keep the shoulders lowered. As you come into that extension, opening up the front of your rib cage area. And then deep breaths down to your belly. Hopefully you feel a stretch in the belly area. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself out. So stay up if your knees don't like to bend, and if your knees are okay bending, come down. So that is not one of my favorites. I've never liked camel. I've never liked to do that. I have so much lordosis in the low back. So I have to really try to get that posterior tilted by pelvis to make sure that I feel safe. And one of the teachers in my that I'm studying with in India, they say that the poses you like the least are probably the ones you need the most. So I try to persevere and make sure I stay as safe as I can when I'm doing the camel posture. All right, so let's come into a twist, and folding the blanket here, we'll need the blanket to support. Having the elevation makes this a little bit easier. We're going to do more of the pretzel twist where we bend the lower legs as well. So I am going to sit on my right tushy cheek. Oh, and we're going to need our blocks for this. So make sure you have your block handy. Makes it a little bit easier to get length in the spine. So a lot of people ask about rotation with osteoporosis, and some places will tell you not to rotate. A lot of places will actually, but you are okay to rotate if you are safe, if you have length in your spine and even some of that back bend, that extension in the upper spine. If you're pushing down on the front of these bones and then you try to rotate, that is not safe. But if you're lifting away and creating extension in the upper spine and only rotating the upper spine right from the low ribs up, that is safe and actually creates a lot of bone building stimulation in your vertebra. All right, so I'm going to take the right tushy cheek. My right tushy cheek is going to be on the blanket. And then I'm going to take my right leg, bend my knee, and put my right heel underneath my left tushy cheek. And move so that I feel the left buttock, the bone on my right heel, and I feel my right buttock supported by the blanket. And then the left leg comes up and over across my body. So if you cannot bend that right knee, you could take the right leg straight and bring your left leg over. And then when you get here, you want to notice where's your pelvis. Is it tilting? Equal out your pelvis by pushing down into the left buttock that's on top of the right heel. And you may already experience, this is creating some pulling on the hip joint. A lot of posterior hip capsule pulling here on that left side, the leg that's in the air. So feel that. Maybe you experience that. This is my hip replacement side, so I definitely feel more pulling on this side. We'll see if I feel it on the right. And then you're going to take the block behind you. So when the block is behind you, this allows you to go from a rounded slouch posture to a lengthened posture with spinal extension, that back bend in the upper spine. And then you use the right arm to hold on to that left leg. Push down to get tall. Inhale. As you exhale, the lower ribs move to the left, the middle ribs, and finally the upper ribs move to the left to feel that deep twist in your body. Create as much of a twist action as you can. Push your heart forward, lower your shoulders, slide the shoulder blades towards each other. And then use your hand on the block to push to get tall. And even walking your hand back towards the right a little bit more to get even more rotational force. Deep breaths. Take one more breath. The other side. So moving that blanket over. So the left buttock goes onto the blanket. And then the left leg bends, left heel comes underneath the right buttock, and arrange yourself so you feel left buttock on the blanket, left heel on the right buttock, and the right leg goes across, and the block goes behind you. And then when you're here, notice where's your pelvis and try to balance out your pelvis because there's a lot of pulling here on that right side. So you might get resistance and movement away and get really short in that right waist. So you want to make sure you're not short in that right waist. And you push your hand on the block to get nice and tall. Hold on to the right knee with the left arm and bend that left arm as well so you can keep nice and tall and very open in your chest here. Press down, take an inhale. And then as you exhale, lower ribs, middle ribs, and upper ribs. Come into that deep rotation. Using your breath, push your heart forward, lower your shoulders, slide the shoulder blades towards each other. And then feel yourself breathing down to your lower ribs and beyond towards your belly. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and slowly, slowly break yourself out of that. Let's come on to your blanket on your knees. Onto all fours, take your hands wide, your legs wide. And let's do a little rolling around the shoulders and the hips. Moving around in a circle, keep the arms straight, no bending of the elbows. Keep your head up, don't round your upper back. Don't let your head hang. Hold it up with your muscles. And then go in the other direction. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's come all the way up. Take your hands, shake your wrists. We're going to come to a standing position. So bringing a leg forward, doesn't matter which one, but bring it pretty far forward so that your foot is forward of your knee. Bring your forward foot in front of your knee. Take your back foot, flip your back foot under. Hands are on your thigh. And then you're going to push yourself forward and up to come up to standing. So some of you may need a chair. If balance is an issue, get a chair. And if it's not, maybe you could use a block. If you have a stronger practice, you could use a block. We're going to take the legs really wide here. So take your legs really wide and move your hips side to side. So notice how my rib cage and head stay stationary. And this is a pelvic movement side to side. Okay, we're going to come into a triangle posture. So I'm going to go to my right side first. You could choose to go to your right side or go to this side, which for some of you may be the left. Let's lift up the toes, turn the leg to the side, and then reach up the heel with the heel behind you. Bring the shoulders forward, up, back, and down, and then push your fingers down. And then inhale to lift your arms. Push away from the back foot. So push your back foot into the floor and then reach your front hand forward. Your pelvis will go towards your back foot. Then you bend at your hip joint. Bend at the hip joint. You could, if you have a chair, you could come down into a chair. You could come down with your arm on your thigh, or you could take a block. You could put a block behind you or in front of you and rest on your block. Well, not rest, you're pushing away from the block. So still very active. This is triangle. Push your feet into the floor. Get as tall as you can in your spine. Don't bend your spine. You bend at the hip joint. And then rotate your trunk forward. Arm could be straight up or reach it up and over to the side. Deep breaths here. Take one more breath. Keep your legs straight. And if you have a block, bring it with you. Bring yourself up. Point your toes forward. Pick up your foot, move your foot away from you, your heel away from you. You could bend your knee to put your block on the ground, so you're bending at your hip and your knee, not your spine. Take your shoulders forward, up, back, and down. Hands reach down. You're going to inhale to reach your arms up. Bring your awareness to the outside of that pinky toe edge. Press that pinky toe edge into the ground. Let that arch be very active. As you reach, let your pelvis go to the side. Feel that stretch coming in the back thighs. And then bring yourself down, either hand on the chair, on the leg, or using a block. Find yourself first in this pose. Push your feet into the ground. Lengthen your spine. So feel like you're pulling space between each vertebra here. And then you're opening up your chest, spiraling it forward. Tailbone down towards the back edge of the inner heel. And if you'd like to reach the arm up and over to the side. Feel the stretch wherever you feel the stretch, pulling on bones, pushing into bones. Take one more breath. And then go ahead, bring yourself all the way up. Let's take our legs, shake our legs. So I love that. I love to feel all that stretching and pulling, that weight bearing pressure in my pelvis and in my back, and pulling on all the things I need, keeping that healthy aspect to my pelvis, my midsection, into the bones, right? The muscles, the bones, everything. Let's come into the tree posture. So the feet point forward, big toes are pretty close to each other. Let's take the hands down alongside the body, palms are forward, and then push the palms back so they're not forward of your body, they're back. So your chest is nice and lifted. Push your body weight over to your weakest leg, or I'm going to go to my left because that's my weaker leg. Then come to your tippy toes, let your knee go out to the side. Bring your foot up in between your ankle and your knee. Then lift your chest. Be nice and tall here. Grab the floor with the foot you're standing on and choose a focal point that doesn't move, or find the center of the movement. Deep breaths. Take one more breath. Bring your knee forward. Let's come to the other foot. Foot is down into the ground. Push your body weight over to that side. Come onto the tippy toes, knees out to the side, and then lift the foot up in between the knee and the ankle. Reach the fingers down, get nice and tall in your spine. Take one more breath. And go ahead and come out. Get your block, and let's come into a chair posture, the last standing posture we're going to do. So take your block between your knees. Your feet are block distance. Don't have them farther apart, and don't have them closer together. Have that block there. This is hip distance, so this is a really good indicator of that. So we're going to bend at our hip joint the most, not so much our knees, but our hip. You're going to come into that posterior tilt, so lengthen the tailbone down, lift up the belly here, and then let's bend our hip and load down into that chair posture. Squeeze the block. Go as low as you can. Have your weight back in your heels, so you could even lift your toes off the floor here if you'd like. Hug your lumbar spine, make that corseted action as you really protect the lumbar spine, and look up and reach up. Don't let your head look down. Reach your arms up, bend your hips. It's called lightning bolt posture. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself up. All right. Time for the ending posture, which is the Shavasana. So you're going to get whatever you need to get to come back down onto the ground. to lay down into that final rest posture, to let everything integrate. If you'd like to end today with right hand on the belly, left hand on the heart, doing that wave-like breath, or both hands on the belly, that would be a nice way to end as well. So do what you need to do. Get into your position. If you want to bring your knees into your chest one last time, or let your legs go in the air, or just come into whatever is appropriate for you for your final rest.
Bring your awareness to your breath. Start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, rolling your ankles and your wrists. And go ahead and bend your knees. Draw the knees into the chest and rock side to side. Coming onto your side and then gently pushing yourself up to a seated position. We'll close the practice with sound using the sound. So take your hands together, rub your hands together, and then press your chest towards your hands, lengthen your spine, lengthen the back neck. Let's exhale to make room. Inhale. Bowing in namaste, namaste. Thank you. Your bones are happy. Lots of stimulation. All right, so I need to go today because I have a meeting that was from 11 to 12:30, so at least I can get a few minutes of it at the end. Thank you so much for joining me, ladies, and I will see you when I see you. All right, I hope you have a great day. Bye.